The English Podcast Mystery. The English Podcast Mystery. Part 1. Whispers in the Waves. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the excited chatter of 4 friends gathered around a laptop in Liam's cluttered living room. Liam, the self-proclaimed leader of their little group, grinned as he clicked play on the latest episode of English Echoes, a newly discovered podcast promising to boost their language skills. "All right, team," he announced. "Let's conquer the intricacies of the English language." The others. Maya, a budding writer with a penchant for dramatic flair. Noah, a quiet tech whiz whose vocabulary exceeded his social skills. And Chloe, an artist whose colorful expressions often got lost in translation, all leaned in with varying degrees of enthusiasm. They were a mismatched bunch, united by their shared struggle with the nuances of English. The podcast began with a cheery, almost saccharine voice introducing the day's topic, phrasal verbs. The host, a woman who called herself Miss Eloquence, launched into a detailed explanation of get up, get down, and get over. Her voice a soothing wave of perfect pronunciation. For the first few episodes, the group diligently followed along, scribbling notes and practicing their pronunciation. They even started using some of the newly learned phrases in their daily conversations, much to the amusement of their native English-speaking friends. It was during a particularly dull commute that Maya first noticed something peculiar. She was re-listening to an episode about idioms when a phrase caught her ear. Miss Eloquence, after explaining the meaning of raining cats and dogs, had added a seemingly random sentence. "But beware, sometimes the cats carry secrets in their paws." Maya initially dismissed it as a quirky attempt at humor, but a nagging feeling lingered. Later that evening, while discussing the podcast with the others, she mentioned the odd phrase. "I thought it was weird too," Noah chimed in, his usually impassive face showing a flicker of intrigue. In the episode about prepositions, she said something about hidden meanings behind the at and in. Chloe, who had been sketching absent-mindedly, looked up. "Wait, I remember that. I thought it was just a way to make us remember the rules." Liam, initially skeptical, started to see a pattern. He pulled up the transcripts of the previous episodes and began scouring them for similar anomalies. Sure enough, scattered throughout the seemingly innocent lessons were cryptic sentences, odd word choices, and phrases that seemed out of context. "This isn't just a language podcast," Liam declared, his eyes widening with excitement. "There's something else going on here. Someone is trying to communicate with us." The room buzzed with a newfound energy. What started as a mundane attempt to improve their English had transformed into a thrilling puzzle. They were no longer just students, passively absorbing information. They were detectives, deciphering a hidden message. Fueled by curiosity and a shared sense of adventure, the friends decided to delve deeper into the mystery. They meticulously re-listened to every episode, dissecting each sentence, searching for clues hidden within the carefully constructed lessons. The English Podcast once a tool for learning, had become a gateway to an unexpected adventure, a journey into the unknown guided by the whispers hidden within the waves of Miss Eloquence's voice. The English Podcast, Mystery. Part 2, Grammar Games and Hidden Trails. The once familiar comfort of Liam's living room was now transformed into a makeshift investigation headquarters. Scattered across the coffee table were transcripts, dictionaries, and notebooks filled with scribbled notes and underlined phrases. The air crackled with a sense of purpose as the four friends embarked on their linguistic treasure hunt. Liam, ever the organizer, had devised a system for analyzing the podcast episodes. They divided the transcripts amongst themselves, each meticulously combing through their assigned sections for any hint of the cryptic messages. "Okay, I found something," Chloe exclaimed, her voice laced with excitement. In episode 5, about the present perfect tense, Miss Eloquence says, "Have you ever considered that the past holds the key to the future?" It's right after explaining how to use since and for. "That's definitely suspicious," Maya agreed, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. "It's like she's hinting at something beyond the grammar lesson." Noah, hunched over his laptop, pointed at the screen. "I think she's using the grammar itself as part of the code. Look at this episode about conditional sentences. She gives an example. If you find the hidden path, you will discover the treasure. Maybe the hidden path is a metaphor for something else." Their initial skepticism had been replaced by a burning curiosity. The more they delved into the podcast, the more convinced they became that Miss Eloquence was intentionally leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for someone to follow. But who was the intended recipient, and what was the ultimate prize? The friends decided to treat each episode as a puzzle, with the grammar and vocabulary lessons serving as clues. They spent hours dissecting sentence structures, analyzing word choices, and researching obscure idioms. What initially seemed like a daunting task became a captivating challenge, pushing them to expand their English skills in ways they never imagined. One evening, while wrestling with a particularly cryptic episode about modal verbs, Liam had a breakthrough. Miss Eloquence had used the phrase "must unlock the secrets" multiple times, each time emphasizing the modal verb must. "I think she's literally telling us to unlock something," Liam exclaimed, jumping to his feet. "Remember that old wooden box I found in the attic? The one with the complicated lock?" The others exchanged excited glances. The box, a forgotten relic from Liam's grandfather, had been gathering dust in the attic for years. They retrieved the box, its surface covered in intricate carvings. The lock, a complex mechanism of gears and levers, seemed impossible to open. "Maybe the key is hidden in the podcast episodes," Maya suggested. They spent the next few days meticulously re-listening to the episodes, searching for any mention of a key or a combination. Finally, in an episode about phrasal verbs related to movement, they found their answer. Miss Eloquence, while explaining the meaning of turnaround, had subtly emphasized the numbers 3, 7, and 2. With trembling hands, Liam entered the combination into the lock. A satisfying click echoed through the room as the box sprang open. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay a single object, a worn, leather-bound book with the title The Lost Lexicon embossed on its cover. The friends stared at the book, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They had solved the first layer of the puzzle, but they knew this was just the beginning. The book, with its promise of hidden knowledge, was their next clue, a stepping stone on their journey to uncover the truth behind Miss Eloquence and her cryptic podcast. Their English skills, once a barrier, had become their greatest weapon. They were no longer just learners, they were code breakers, adventurers, and with each solved puzzle, they grew more confident in their ability to unravel the mystery that lay ahead. The English Podcast, Mystery, Part 3, The Vanishing Voice. The musty scent of old paper filled Liam's living room as the friends huddled around the ancient book, The Lost Lexicon. Its yellowed pages, filled with archaic script and intricate illustrations, held an air of mystery that both intrigued and intimidated them. "This looks like it's straight out of a museum," Chloe whispered, tracing a finger across a faded illustration of a mythical creature. "It's written in Old English," Noah observed, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Some of these words aren't even in our dictionaries." The initial excitement of discovering the book was quickly replaced by a sense of frustration. Their newfound English skills, honed by Miss Eloquence's lessons, were no match for the archaic language of the Lost Lexicon. They felt like they had hit a brick wall. "We need to find someone who can help us understand this," Liam declared. "There has to be an expert in Old English somewhere." Their search led them to Professor Alastair Finch, a renowned linguist and historian at the local university. Professor Finch, a kindly old man with a twinkle in his eye, listened intently as they explained their unusual quest. "Fascinating," he murmured, stroking his white beard. "This book appears to be a glossary of forgotten words and phrases, a linguistic treasure trove. But the language is indeed challenging, even for someone like myself." Professor Finch agreed to guide them, providing insights into the nuances of Old English grammar and vocabulary. He taught them how to decipher the strange symbols and interpret the archaic sentence structures. With his help, the friends slowly began to unravel the secrets hidden within the Lost Lexicon. One passage in particular caught their attention. It described a hidden society of language enthusiasts known as the Echoes of Albion, who believed in the power of words to shape reality. The echoes communicated through coded messages, hidden within seemingly ordinary texts and conversations. Could Miss Eloquence be a member of this Echoes of Albion? Maya wondered aloud. "It's possible," Professor Finch replied. The cryptic messages in her podcast, the emphasis on obscure vocabulary, it all aligns with the Echoes philosophy. The friends realized they needed to find Miss Eloquence, the enigmatic voice behind the podcast. They scoured the internet for any information about her, but her online presence was minimal. The podcast website offered no contact information, and her social media accounts were bare. Their only lead was the Bond, as the podcast hosting platform. After some digging, Noah managed to trace the podcast's IP address to a small town on the outskirts of the city. Armed with this new information, the friends embarked on a road trip, hoping to find Miss Eloquence and uncover the truth behind her mysterious disappearance. The town, nestled amidst rolling hills and shrouded in an eerie silence, seemed deserted. They found the address linked to the podcast, a quaint cottage with overgrown vines crawling up its walls. The windows were dark and the front door was locked. "Hello?" Liam called out, knocking tentatively. There was no response. Undeterred, the friends decided to investigate further. They discovered an old shed behind the cottage, its door slightly ajar. Inside, they found recording equipment, piles of books on linguistics, and a handwritten note scrawled on a piece of paper. The note, written in Miss Eloquence's elegant handwriting, simply read, "The words will guide you. Listen closely." The friends exchanged worried glances. Miss Eloquence had clearly vanished, but she had left them a final clue. They realized that the key to finding her lay in their ability to understand the language she so skillfully manipulated. They had to become better listeners, more attuned to the nuances of speech, the subtle inflections, the hidden meanings behind the spoken word. Their journey to improve their English had taken an unexpected turn. It was no longer just about grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It was about deciphering a complex code, uncovering a hidden society, and finding a missing voice. The stakes were higher than ever, and their English skills were the only compass in this uncharted territory. The English Podcast. Mystery. Part 4. Echoes of the Past. Miss Eloquence's cryptic note. "The words will guide you. Listen closely." Echoed in their minds as the friends returned to Liam's living room, now littered with maps, timelines, and annotated copies of The Lost Lexicon. The abandoned cottage and the cryptic message had deepened the mystery, pushing them to delve further into the world of language and its hidden power. "We need to focus on the words," Maya declared, a voice filled with determination. Miss Eloquence clearly believes in their power. Maybe the answer lies within the language itself. They returned to the Lost Lexicon, poring over its pages with renewed vigor. Professor Finch's guidance had unlocked a deeper understanding of the archaic text, allowing them to piece together fragments of the echoes of Albion's history and philosophy. One particular passage described a ritual known as the Echo Chamber, a place where the echoes gathered to harness the power of language. The chamber was said to be located in a place where the whispers of the past linger and the echoes of the future resonate. "That sounds like a riddle," Noah commented, his fingers flying across his laptop keyboard. "I'm searching for historical sites or landmarks that might fit that description." Their investigation led them down a rabbit hole of local history and folklore. They discovered tales of ancient ruins, hidden caves, and forgotten libraries, each potentially holding the key to the echo chamber's location. One name kept recurring in their research: Whispering Woods, an old, sprawling forest on the outskirts of town. Whispering Woods was said to be haunted by the voices of the past. Local legends spoke of strange whispers carried on the wind and eerie echoes that seemed to answer your thoughts. Could this be the place? Chloe wondered, her voice hushed with awe. Armed with a map and a renewed sense of purpose, the friends ventured into the Whispering Woods. The ancient trees towered over them, their branches intertwined like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. A thick canopy blocked out the sunlight, casting an eerie gloom over the forest floor. As they walked deeper into the woods, they noticed a peculiar pattern carved into the bark of several trees. The symbols, a combination of letters and runes, seemed familiar. "They're from the lost lexicon," Liam exclaimed, pointing at a symbol that resembled a stylized bird. Following the trail of symbols, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a crumbling stone structure, its walls covered in moss and ivy. A single arched doorway beckoned them inside. Hesitantly, they stepped through the doorway and found themselves in a circular chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with ancient books and scrolls. In the center of the room stood a stone pedestal upon which rested a single open book. The book, written in a language they now recognized as Old English, described the rituals and beliefs of the Echoes of Albion. It spoke of the power of language to create, to destroy, and to transcend the boundaries of time and space. As they read, the friends realized that Miss Eloquence had been using her podcast to guide them, to prepare them for this moment. She had been teaching them not just English, but the power of language itself. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The walls of the chamber shook, and dust rained down from the ceiling. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. The pedestal in the center of the room began to glow with an ethereal light. The book on the pedestal flipped open to a specific page, revealing a single sentence written in bold, archaic letters. "When the echoes align, the voice will be heard." The friends exchanged excited glances. They had found the echo chamber, and they were about to witness the culmination of Miss Eloquence's plan. They had come a long way, their English skills honed by the challenges they had faced. Now they were ready to listen to the echoes of the past and discover the truth behind the vanishing voice. The English Podcast. Mystery. Part 5. The voice revealed. The echo chamber vibrated with an otherworldly energy as the light emanating from the pedestal intensified, casting long, dancing shadows across the ancient walls. The sentence in the book, "When the echoes align, the voice will be heard," seemed to pulsate with hidden meaning. Suddenly, a voice filled the chamber, a voice both familiar and strange. It was Miss Eloquence, but deeper, richer, resonating with an almost ethereal quality. "Welcome, seekers of knowledge," her voice boomed, echoing through the chamber. "You have followed the whispers, deciphered the code, and found your way to the heart of the Echoes of Albion." The friends stood mesmerized, their hearts pounding in their chests. They had found Miss Eloquence, but not in the way they expected. "I am not who you think I am," her voice continued. "I am the collective voice of the echoes, a chorus of voices from across time and space, united by our love for language and its power." The light from the pedestal swirled and coalesced into a shimmering form, taking the shape of a woman. She was tall and elegant, her features both timeless and ethereal. Her eyes, deep pools of wisdom, seemed to gaze into their very souls. We created the podcast, English Echoes, to find those who possess a thirst for knowledge and a willingness to embrace the magic of language, she explained. You, my dear friends, have proven yourselves worthy. The friends, speechless with awe, could only nod in response. Their journey to improve their English had led them to this extraordinary moment, a face-to-face encounter with the embodiment of language itself. The echoes of Albion believe that language is more than just a means of communication, the woman continued. It is a tool for shaping reality, for unlocking hidden truths, for connecting with the past and shaping the future. Miss Eloquence, why did you disappear? Maya finally managed to ask, her voice trembling with emotion. I did not disappear, the woman replied with a gentle smile. I simply shed my individual form to reveal my true nature. The echoes exist beyond the limitations of time and space. We are everywhere and nowhere, whispering in the wind, echoing in the silence. She explained that the echoes had been observing them throughout their journey, guiding them with subtle clues and hidden messages. They were impressed by the friends' dedication, their perseverance, and their growing appreciation for the power of language. You have proven that language can bridge any gap, unlock any mystery, and empower any individual, she said. Carry this knowledge with you and use it to make the world a better place. The light surrounding the woman began to fade, and her form dissolved back into the pedestal. The chamber fell silent, the only sound the gentle rustling of ancient pages. The friends stood in stunned silence, processing the incredible experience they had just shared. They had solved the mystery of the English podcast, but they had gained something far more valuable, a profound understanding of the power of language and its ability to connect, inspire, and transform. As the honoree, as they walked out of Whispering Woods and back into the world, they carried with them a newfound confidence and a deep appreciation for the language they had once struggled to master. They had started their journey as students of English, but they had emerged as ambassadors of its power. Their adventure had come to an end, but their journey with language had just begun. They continued to explore the intricacies of English, to delve into its rich history, and to appreciate its ability to weave stories, build bridges, and unlock the mysteries of the human heart. And sometimes, when the wind whispered through the trees or an echo resonated in the silence, they would remember Miss Eloquence and the echoes of Albion, the guardians of language and the whisperers of hidden truths. They had learned that language is a gift, a tool, and a magic all its own. And they were determined to use it wisely, to create their own echoes that would resonate through time and inspire others to embrace the power of words.